Alright guys, gals, whoever wants to watch this. Now I'm gonna go through putting it back together. I've got all three of the reels. I've got the other one soaking. Cleaned them all, everything's blown apart. Got the handy dandy computer pulled up over here. Space age common thing here. But you can go on e-replacement parts as well, but you can literally Google 6000C part diagram, and you can click on the images. It'll pull up what this is right here, and you can literally see every exploded how this reel goes back together. We have technology, so don't be afraid to jump into your reels and get them fixed. You know, you can do it yourself. You got the e-replacement parts. They've got every part you could possibly want for these reels. And plus, if you've got internet access, libraries, you can go to a library, print the pages up. But you can go through it. There's several different 6000Cs. You can go through and find your one that matches with your particular reel. Just like I said, these three right here are all the same. That one over there that's in the water right now is different. But so I have this just for a reference to make sure I put it back together the way it came apart. It lets me know where each of these drag washers go, what where all these different like the different washers, what stage they go in, everything. But it's pretty simple, but we'll get to it.
Okay, it's on.
Is it right? Good?
Mm-hmm.
Sure?
Mm-hmm.
Looks good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, love you.
Love you.
I was getting some assistance from my lovely daughter. But we're going to go through and put this reel back together and give you kind of a step-by-step. I'm sure it's been done before, many of times, many of people done this. I don't know. I'm just bored. I want something to do. I didn't go fishing today, so I'm doing this. Blew my reels apart. But what I'm gonna do, this is the clicker side. I'll take a little bit. This is the real lube from Abu Garcia. I'll actually take that back off of there. Put a little dab of dew in there. Put that back in there like that. And then I'll put a little dab of dew right there. And a little dab of dew right there. Alright, now I'm going to drop it. But you see that right there? You can see where it's been all its life. It's kind of a little worn for its age. I think I put my dab-a-doo on the wrong side. It'll be alright. But I did. I need to put my dab-a-doo on this side. Yabba-dabba-doo. But I'm just going to put just a little dab of this lube right there and right there. Crank the old computer back up because it likes going to sleep on me. But you got little slots right there. It's just going to slide in there like that right there. Bam, bam. Now you got nice and slidey. Take your handy dandy shop rag you got. Clean off your excess. You ain't got to have a whole lot. I kind of messed it up by putting all that on there, but it's all right. It's all good. But that right there, just going to ensure that you got a nice lube on there. And it's going to not get hung up on you, whatnot. But that's installed. Now, there's no particular order to this. I mean, not to me anyway, I guess. I'm just going to do it as I go, I guess. You know what I mean? But this is the worm. We'll start with this joker. This is the worm shaft. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of this, just blop it on one side, because what that's gonna do is help it stay in there a little bit better. When you put that side on there, it's just gonna give it a little spot to stay at. You got your slide here. You're gonna take that joker, put it on there just like so. You don't want no grease or anything on that, because all you want to do is put a little bit of real oil in that. So I'll drop that down like that right there. So what I'm gonna do with this lube, I'll take it and put it on the outside of this bearing right here. Just a dab on each side. When I drop this back in there. All right, that's dropped in there just like so. I'm not putting a whole lot on there. Now I'm gonna take, you got this bimetal clip that's gonna go over that just like so. It's gonna go in between the gear and that housing, the worm shaft. It's gonna go in between there and there. All right, now you see it's still flopping around like a fish, like a fishy. But it's all good. You don't want to put no grease on that gear, no nothing like that. The only reason I put the grease on that bearing, I'm just putting it on the bearing to stick it in there. It's not on a moving part per se. Now take your handy dandy little pawl. You do want to drop a little oil on that. It's going to sit in there just like out there, and then see how it's connected now? It's moving. Now, got our handy dandy. I should have this back better, and shouldn't I? Shake that up a little bit. I'll drop me a little dose in there. A little dose of dough. I'll put that right there, just like so. Now we get the handy dandy screwdriver. You're just gonna, and it gotta be super tight, but tight enough where it ain't gonna fall off on you. Now once that's installed and everything, you can see it moves. Nice and move. You can take your little bit of droplets, put it in there, move it around, just like so. Clean off the excess. Don't want a whole lot, you know, just do that right there. And that's putting the worm gear back in. It's nice and sit in there then. The wife just got home. Put a little oil on that cog gear right there. And I always drop some in behind there. Kind of roll that around real good. You want you want to put oil on all your moving parts. You don't want grease on your moving parts. Okay, just kind of remember that. And we'll get to the next part in just a second. We're gonna install that bearing back in there. I'm gonna drop a couple little drops of oil down in there, just like so. Drop that bearing right there, down in there. Just make sure it's seated in there real good. Now, this right here is going to snap right in there. It goes right into there. Then you're set to go. Now on the what I explained the other ones was white on them other reels, but these are really hard to see. But the split end, like I said, I always put the split end to the inside. I don't know if there's a specific way, but that's just the way I've always done it. And they just slide on them pegs right there on the spool. Just like that. Now, what I do, you ain't got to, but I'll take this lube oil, and I'll put just a dab. I'm talking about just a dab. Just to hold it on there as you're assembling everything. They're gonna stay on there because it takes a little bit for them to come off. But I'm just gonna put enough on there, just ensure that they stay on there. I don't put a whole lot to dose it up or anything, but yeah. Now I will we'll put the this side back together. I will put some of that lube on this slide right here on both sides, just like that. It's not a moving part, but it does move. It slides along, as you can see, as you push that in. I'll put a little bit of lube right in there, and I'll put a little bit of lube right in there. Like I said, not on a moving part, but it is on that part that when you're pushing your relief in. I will drop a little bit of oil on that. Just to make sure it's lubed up. It's all nice. Put that over there for now. This is that anti-reverse. We can build this up. Where's my shaft? Right here. All right. That right here. That goes over there. Moving all over the place. My wife making noise. I'm looking for something. There we go. Got that. My God, y'all gonna shut up. La, la, la. All right. Now this right here, got that piece. All that do is just slide down on top here. Got this little cog, this anti-reverse thing, McBobber. You're gonna slide that over there. And what I'll do, I'll take a little bit of this, put it on this shaft right here. Drop that down on there just like so. And there we go. See how that goes? That's just gonna ride on there just like so. And then when it goes, see how it doesn't let the spool go backwards? Because it locks it in. But yeah. Now, this is where you can go through and look at the computer and see what goes where, if you have to. But once you got that shaft on there like so, you know what, probably skipped a spot. Let me put a little bit on there just for good measure. And then I mess that up. Put that back on there. And then drop that off of there again. My wife huffing and puffing around here. Drop that. Nope. See, I've got the smaller ones. Yeah, I go pulling that off again like a dummy. Put that back down in there. Y'all are gonna be like, he don't know what he's doing. That one's gonna drop like so. Drop like so. Now this is where all that comes into good play. Just like so. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm trying to focus. Trying to remember, to be honest with you. Bam. This one, it's kind of easy. It's got the little nipples on each end. Goes into the drive gear. Drops in there just like that right there. Another drag washer on there. Then you're gonna drop this one. Then you're gonna drop this one. Then this one right here is gonna go on top of that. Just like so. Then you got that set up. Sorry for the delay. Then you got the spacer. And then, well, nope, I'm wrong on that. This comes back off. Got one spacer, another spacer, and you got the big one. Yay. And then that's it, I believe, on that. Make sure that drops down in there real good, like so. Everything's oiled up, everything's greased up. So what we're gonna do now, since all that's put on there, now I can take this, the cover, and put it on top of that. Just like so. Make sure that sits on there. Make sure that works. Good to go. Now I gotta go through here and find the screws. These little long ones go in there like so. Drop the screwdriver again. Why not? Bam. Ain't gotta be super tight, but tight enough where, you know, you don't want stuff falling out when you're fishing. There we go. Good and tight. You know, German kind of thinking on that stuff. Good and tight. All right, there's those. Those are the three for this side. Had to scratch. You can take this right here and drop you a couple drops of oil on that cap. Go ahead and cinch it down. You ain't gotta be super tight, because it's, oop, I'm gonna throw that across the way. It's gonna go in there just like so. And you'll know if it's in there correctly because you can kind of see it push that shaft up a little bit. Well, that's what it's doing, is pushing that. That's how it adjusts the spool tension. Get right down in there. Then you can take your star, put you a couple drops of oil on that. Make sure you got that started straight. See how crooked it is? It's got fine threads on there. So you want to make sure it starts on there nice and straight. It'll be really easy to put on there. Now, you'll see how the shaft's gonna sit there and spin, like so. Sometimes you can hold it with your finger. If you can't, just get you a pair of pliers. Get you a pair of little needle nose pliers and hold that shaft. It'll get to a point where it'll just bottom out. Then you're good to go. That's how your drag is set up. See how the anti-reverse is working? All right, that side is right. So we're going to take this, clean that little bit of excess oil off of there. All that's good to go. Shaft's in it. Now, if you want to, go ahead and take your, you can do this one or two ways. The inside of that spool has to line up with that gear. So it's perfectly all right to drop you a couple drops of oil on there. I'll go ahead and I'll drop me a couple drops on there. Line that shaft up. There you go. It'll fall right in. Then this can go right over top of that. Just like so. You can get these in with your hand for the most part. The reason I leave the handle off is kind of easier, just gain access to everything while you're trying to get all that tightened up, kind of secured. And of course there it goes, it's in there. All right, there's that. Now we got all that put on there. Now I'm gonna take me a couple drops and drop it on that gear right there. I'll take me a couple drops and drop it right here along those, just for good measure. We already got oil on the cog gear over here. Everything else is in where it needs to be. Now, we're gonna take this. Sometimes you gotta play with it to get that, to clear that shaft right there, to get the clicker to drop in just right. But we'll look at that. Drops in there just perfect. Hear that? Ooh. Once that drops in just like so, you'll take these little skinnies, put them back in there just like that. Then you can cinch your screws down. Just like so. I'm sorry, you can't have a screwdriver like mine. It's one of a kind. Just a little cinch. You ain't gotta have it gorilla tight. As you can see, it moves nice and good. Worm gear's moving. That's a good thing, right? Anti-reverse is working. Clicker working, or brake, whatever you want to call it. But I tightened up the spool tension. It's working. That's working. Spool release. Hey, we did something right. This you have to put that in. This one, like I said, these have them screws on there. But this, always gotta look. I think that's wrong though. No. Drop that on there. That's by per the diagram. Shows it being horseshoed up, which I guess makes sense because what you're doing is trying to take that slack out of your all you're doing is trying to take slack out of the handle where it ain't wobbly. Then after you do that, you can, like these reels have a set screw instead of a C-clip that go in the end. I guess if everything did fall off, it would keep it from all falling apart, and it keeps the shaft and everything in line. I give it a little tug, a little snip. Now, like I said, these are aftermarket handles, so this one right here, you got to make darn sure these, like the other ones, are straight. Once it gets started, it's pretty good. And I found out that this pin tool is perfect for these aftermarket nuts on here. My buddy Wayne gave me this when he fixed my pin reels for me. And I'll try to do like that. Then right there, drop on there just like so. Throw that around, why not? Let's get that one started. My fat fingers can't get this one started. And we'll give it a little snug. A little snug. I think we're good to go. Now what I'll do, once I got the worm gear and everything in there, I'll throw some drops of oil down in the worm gear. Then I'll take it and spin it. Get it lubricated. Because you definitely want it lubricated. Everything seems to work. It's ready to go fishing. And I can back that off, see how it changes that spool tension. I mean, I can just tighten that up a little bit, tightens it right down. But everything seems to work. Now when I line my reels, I kind of do it with my spool tension tight, so it doesn't let that spool walk a whole lot, because if you let your spool walk a lot, your line will get uneven when you're spooling your line up. But there, it's back together, and it's ready to, well, almost ready. Gotta put some line stuff on it, of course, but that's a little easier to do than taking your reels apart and getting them all cleaned up and stuff. But like I said, take care of your reels, they'll last. Clean everything up. And except for the little dents and dings, I mean, that I've got on these things, and we're definitely got wear and tear on them, but you know what? They still they throw like a sewing machine, and not a broke down sewing machine either. A good one, an old Singer. I'll make sure I got those nice and snugged. I don't remember snugging them. I didn't. There we go. There we go. Just go through and just make sure everything's right. Seems good to me. And also I'll take a couple little drops of oil and drop it down to my handles. Just for good measure. Spin those around a little bit. Spin those around a little bit. Get that excess off. And by Joe, you are ready. Reels put back together. Everything works. I guess that's part of that's a good thing, right? But that's how you do that. Got any questions? Ask me. Thanks for watching. God bless.